All right, so welcome to Easy and Delicious Pantry Meals. I am Grace Loney. I'm the creator and founder of Gracefully Holistic Nutrition and Wellness. And I'm super excited to be joined with you guys today to, talk about something that a lot of people have on their minds right now with coronavirus, keeping us all at home, safe so that we don't spread this thing. How can we best utilize our pantry to create wholesome and nutritious meals that aren't just, nutritious, boring, but also tasty and delicious. So I'm super excited to be going through a lot of the basics with you today. First, we're going to talk about my top tips for a pantry makeover. So I'll share a little bit of that with you if you want to take charge on your own. And then we'll talk about how to then restock your pantry with good, wholesome options to keep you sustained throughout the pandemic. And then we're going to go through some recipe ideas for breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then I know Tesley, she may pop on towards the end, but we've got some clean, sweet treats from Foods for Thought. This is an Instagram account that my friend Tesley has, and she's a wonderful, very talented baker. And, we need sweets to get us through this quarantine right now. Am I right, people? Yes, I'm right. So again, right now we're just practicing social distancing. We're in week, 5 already. So we're just trying to stay home as much as possible to help this thing pass, make sure not as many people are getting ill and dying, and make sure we're doing our part to not spread this thing around. And I've been working one-on-one with some of my clients, and we all agree that right now going to the grocery store is extremely stressful. It causes a lot of anxiety. It's just really scary to be walking around and everybody in a mask, and then you're freaking out because someone next to you didn't stay 6 feet away, and now they're out of sanitary wipes and you have no way to sanitize your cart. And so it's hectic. So I wanted to provide you guys with my best tips to get a nice healthy haul for you and your whole family so that it can sustain you for weeks and weeks and really limit those trips to the grocery store. So I just want to start out with a little bit of pantry comedy. These are our expectations for what we think our pantry is going to look like: beautiful and bright and organized and containers with beautiful labels. And then here is reality. So this is definitely what my pantry looks like right now. I've just got shit strewn everywhere, and that's okay because, maybe you have some downtime right now where you can really get organized and see what you have on hand. So that's what we're going to jump into now, is my 3 tips for trying to reorganize some of this reality. So some healthy pantry makeover tips. First, what you're going to do is you're just going to kind of choose an assortment of foods to pull out of your pantry, your cabinets, your refrigerator, your freezer, and just get a good variety of things so you can visually see, what do you have on hand. And really, it actually gives you some perspective on where you're getting the majority of your calories from, which is pretty interesting. Like, do you have a ton of cookies and crackers, or do you have a lot of canned vegetables and, good produce? So it just gives you kind of a snapshot of what you have on hand. And then it also gives you a visual of what you might need more of. So I encourage you to take a notebook out when you do this, write down some notes. Oh, I'm low on, almond flour, I'm low on lemon juice, just things like that to help keep you organized. Next, you're going to read the labels and you're going to decide what you want to keep and what you want to toss. First thing in the label, not so much the nutrition label, but look to see if it's expired. If it's like from 2012, it's got to go. Like, some people try and stretch the expiration date by a few months, but I'm telling you, like, you do not want to put anything inside your body from 2015 or anything like that. Probably has little to no nutrients left in there, and probably some interesting other things in there. So check your expiration dates. Just toss anything that is long expired. And then you're going to check the nutrition facts. So really looking at what things have a lot of hidden sugar in them. So you're going to look for the added sugars on the label, and you'll be surprised at how many things that are in your pantry have so much sugar added. And so just being aware of that. So making sure the sugar content is low, making sure the salt content isn't through the roof either. Those are things that I look at when I'm reading the labels. And then the next thing I look at is the ingredients. So, and I use the rule of if it's got about 5 ingredients or less, then that's probably a pretty good, nutritious food. And so we're gonna do a little exercise. So can anyone guess what the food is on the left? So that label on the left, what do you think that food is, just by reading the label? And you can bring yourself off mute, but I see people chatting too. Peanut butter. Yes, Paula, good. Peanut butter. Yes, Amy, awesome. Yes, it's so easy to tell what this food is, right? There's one ingredient, and it's organic, dry, roasted, blanched peanuts. The only other option it could be is blanched roasted peanuts or peanut butter, right? So, really easy to tell what this food item is. Now, can anyone guess what the food is on the right, the blue label?
Is that Coke, like Swiss Miss Cocoa?
It's not Swiss Miss Cocoa. Skippy peanut butter?
Oh, no.
That's funny. Anybody else? And this one is definitely a gotcha, because based on reading these ingredients, I can't tell what food this is. This is actually Oreos. So these are all of the ingredients in Oreos. So a good rule of thumb here is if you see a label and you see ingredients that you either can't pronounce or that you don't understand, then that's a good sign that you want to steer clear from that food. I like to say that if it doesn't make sense up here, if it doesn't make sense in your head, it's not going to make a lot of sense in your stomach. So when you actually eat that food, your body's not going to know what to do with all of those chemicals either. So if it makes sense up here, it'll make sense in here, right? Good. And sorry, this this is supposed to be number 3. We're not back to 1. But then, once you've kind of sorted through your items, you've read the labels, then you're just rearranging them, putting them back in place. I have a couple clear containers that I use just so I can see what the product is. So I'm kind of taking things out of bags, putting them in clear containers. If you have mason jars, those are a great thing that you can use. Just big empty jars. Sometimes like if you buy peanut butter, and it's gone and you have the nice glass jar, you can clean that out, take the label off, and then use that to store, another grain or a bean or something else after. So some nice clear containers can help you stay really organized and just be able to see really quickly what you have. All right. So now we're going to get into now we've kind of sorted through everything in our pantry. Now, how am I going to restock so that I'm prepared for this pandemic and I can stay home as much as possible? So we're going to go through a bunch of different categories of food. And the first is going to be your canned and your jarred items. So this really runs the gamut here. You have things like your beans. So these are like your chickpeas, your black beans, great source of protein. Then you have all kinds of vegetables. You have canned tomatoes, canned artichokes, olives. You can do beets. You can also do beets that are vacuum sealed too. So there's a lot of options when it comes to different vegetables. And then I also like to buy a lot of fermented or pressed salads like sauerkraut, kimchi, half sour pickles. Those are just great little kind of like extras that I'll put on a salad or some sort of dish. And it gives a nice little probiotic boost at the end. And then there's things like clean sauces. So this was kind of weird to explain, but there's things like curry sauces. So I don't know if you guys can see this in my camera view. This is Yas Thai, and it's just a yellow Thai curry. So a curry has like a 20 different ingredients to put together, and it can take a long time, but they actually make these pre-made sauces, and this one's really clean. So if you see, I don't know if you can see those ingredients pretty well. There's nothing yucky. There's nothing I don't understand. There's nothing I can't pronounce in here. So this is a good clean sauce to have on hand and just bring a meal together really quick. And then you also have your things like your tomato sauces too, right? For your pasta dishes, your pizza. And this is definitely one where you want to just look out for the sugar content. These pasta sauces are where a lot of the high sugar can tend to hide in some of those conventional brands like the ragouts. You just want to be really careful. So this one I found on Thrive Market, and this is a white label brand, but it's got organic roasted garlic and tomatoes. Absolutely delicious, super clean. It's only got tomatoes, onion, roasted garlic, extra virgin olive oil, sea salt, basil, and that's it. So yeah, so there's some great options for different sauces, so you don't have to be making everything from scratch. We've also got our nut butters. So there's so many different kinds of nut butters, and actually Amy, who's on this call, introduced me to a new one, which was pecan butter, which is absolutely delicious. But I've got my crunchy almond butter here. Again, like you can have your peanut butter, just making sure you're looking for peanut butter that doesn't have the added sugars or any other additives or chemicals and weird stabilizers and just the stuff you can't pronounce. And then you've got some proteins too. So you can have your canned chicken, your canned tuna. I get my tuna, I kind of switched my brand a while, but this one's called Wild Planet. And it's just sustainably caught, wild caught tuna, no salt added. So really delicious flavor. And, I know the tuna was wild caught, so it just has more healthy vitamins and nutrients available than some of the farmed tuna. Also less mercury too. So, all right, that was a lot with the canned stuff. If you guys have questions, make sure you kind of just save them for the end if you want to go over anything. All right, dried items. This is where you can really, this is like the money. Like you can buy all of this stuff in bulk and never have to go back for it again. So you can buy your beans in bulk, and beans, you can buy them canned, but you can also buy them dried, and it's actually a lot cheaper, and you can buy these big giant bags of them. So lentils are a great legume, super easy to digest versus some of the other legumes out there. But you can get garbanzo beans, black beans, pinto, kidney, like anything. And again, a great source of protein for your meals. You can get whole grains in bulk like quinoa, brown rice, amaranth, farro. And then this container that I showed you from the beginning, this is actually called, this is black rice and or forbidden rice, and it's absolutely delicious. So it's just like a regular short grain rice, but it's black. So this dark color just tells you that there are tons of extra vitamins, nutrients, and antioxidants in this rice. It does take a little bit longer to cook than normal rice, but it's so, so, so delicious. You can get creative with some of your meals. You've also got your dried fruits. Again, just being really cautious of the added sugars in some of them. And then you've got whole grain pastas. There's a lot of great options for whole grain pastas. There's buckwheat pasta, which you can see in that picture of the penne. It's got a darker color, so there might be some buckwheat flour in there. They make pastas from quinoa flour. They make whole wheat pastas, so all kinds of good stuff in there. And then you have all of your different baking flours. I keep a lot of gluten-free flours on hand, like almond flour, cassava flour, tapioca starch, coconut flour. And then my friend Paula here, who's on the call, she actually makes homemade sourdough bread. Absolutely delicious. So she has her sourdough starter, and then it's a fermented bread. So she uses really good quality flour and then uses that sourdough starter. It's like a couple day process, and it's so, so, so good. So she's been using her time very well on this quarantine. And then other bread items too. So you get things like corn tortillas for taco night. You can get things like they have a lot of whole grain breads, that even some that are in the freezer section, so they're already frozen. So you don't even have to let it sit out on the counter. You can just keep it in the freezer for whenever you want to use it. So that's really convenient as well. All right, and next up we have our liquids. Again, some of these categories I didn't really know how to name, but yeah, you guys just hang with me. So you've got all of your oils, some nice healthy oils are extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, sesame oil. All those are good to have on hand. And then you have all of your vinegars. Vinegar can bring a nice vibrance and really good flavor to a lot of your dishes, like salads and just different, foods on your stovetop. Apple cider vinegar, red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar, regular white vinegar. There's so many different kinds out there that you can really play with. And then if you are in a rush and you don't want to make a salad dressing from scratch, they have a lot of clean salad dressings out there. This one is by Bragg's Organic, and Bragg's actually makes like that giant thing of apple cider vinegar, which I definitely have in my pantry right now too. But this one is so good. I use it as a marinade on like chicken and fish. If I'm going to do kebabs on the grill, I'll do this over a salad too. So this one's really, really versatile, and it comes in this nice big bottle too. So it'll last me a while. Then you've got things like your broth, so making sure you've got chicken stock, vegetable broth, bone broth, all, different types of things for soups and sauces to have on hand. And then lemon and lime juice. So if you're not able to go to the grocery store as much anymore and you don't just have a lot of fresh lemons and limes, you can buy giant things of organic lemon and lime juice. This one is by Lakewood, and this jar is going to last me forever. And it just brings a lot of good flavor and freshness to things like fish, seafood dishes. I'll use it in my dressings. I'll even make like some lemonade from this too. So really, really versatile stuff to have on hand. And then last but not least is just some other flavorful condiments like soy sauce or liquid aminos or coconut aminos. So different condiments that you can keep on hand to just bring flavor to dishes really easily. All right, next up is snacks. So nuts, when it comes to nuts, just having a variety of nuts, there's so many different kinds out there. There's almonds, there's cashews, there's pecans, there's walnuts, which is a great source of omega-3 fatty acids, hazelnuts, pistachios. So just making sure you have a variety on hand to kind of switch up the flavors will be good. You can have some granola. Just again, with the granola, watch for that sugar content. Chips. So I found a really great brand of chips. It's by a company called Siete, and they're actually a grain-free tortilla chip, and they come in all different kinds of flavors. They have like a hot fuego one. They have a nacho, like a dairy-free nacho one, and then my favorite is the hint of lime. That one's so good. And then there's also these things called plantain chips. And if you've never had a plantain chip, you're definitely missing out. It's absolutely delicious. Just really good resistant starch. And you can get really clean versions that are fried in avocado oil as well. So some really good options for chips. And then crackers, my mom will agree to this. There's this really awesome brand called Simple Mills, and we love the Simple Mills crackers. They're almond flour crackers, but they also have a ton of different other varietals. And my favorite just happens to be like a cracked black pepper almond cracker. It's delicious. When
Buy
it
10 boxes every time I go to the store.
Yes, you can buy 10 boxes. They don't limit those like toilet paper. So that's good. One trick here when it comes to snacks, I would encourage you to not stock your pantry with cookies. If you want cookies, keep the ingredients on hand to make cookies. Making cookies is really simple. It's like 20 minutes from the beginning to when they pop out of the oven. When you don't have cookies readily available in your pantry, then you're less likely to just reach for them anytime you feel stressed or you just need some food. When you actually have to put in the time and effort to create something, it's just a barrier that will, stop you half the time from engorging yourself in cookies. But if you just really need that cookie, then go for it. You have all the ingredients on hand. You can turn it into a family activity. And you can just turn it into an activity to get a little bit of a creative outlet, take your mind off of work, off of other things. And you're really able to put love and your own energy into the food rather than eating food that comes off the shelf with a bunch of chemicals and stabilizers. You know, when you look at a lot of these cookie labels, they have soy lectin in them, which is a shelf stabilizer. And I've never seen a homemade cookie recipe that calls for soy lectin. So you're, you know, by doing it yourself, you're creating that barrier, and you're also just putting a more wholesome food inside of your body. All right, next up is produce. There's actually a lot of fresh produce that has a really great long shelf life that you can stock up in your pantry. So these are really like any vegetable that is a root vegetable or a vegetable that grows close to the ground. So you've got your potatoes and sweet potatoes, you've got your onions, and then winter squashes. This is where you can bring in a ton of variety of fresh vegetables. You've got spaghetti squash, you've got kabuka squash, which I just discovered is really sweet. It's almost like a pumpkin, but better. Butternut squash, delicata. So there's so many different varieties of these winter squashes, and they have a nice thick skin, so it keeps them good for a while. And then you've got your root vegetables like carrots, turnips, parsnips, beets, and these keep for a long, long time too. The trick with any of the root vegetables or the winter squashes is you just want to keep them in a cool and dry environment. So I keep all of mine in the garage. There's not a lot of sunlight in there. It stays nice and cool because we don't have it heated out there, and it stays dry. So they're not on the ground if it can get like soggy or anything. Some people will keep them in the basement. Some people have like a fancy root cellar. So whatever you have to keep these items in a cool, dry environment would be the best. All right, last but not least, we have our frozen veggies. So this really, again, runs the gamut and brings you a ton of variety that you can bring into your dishes. So you can get a ton of different vegetables, your spinach, your broccoli. I love the cauliflower rice. You can get frozen cauliflower rice. Trader Joe's has a great organic option. Peas, green beans, corn. You've got all kinds of frozen fruit, different berries, blueberries, strawberries, mangoes. You can buy bananas if they're about to go bad, slice them up, throw them in the freezer. You've got frozen banana ready to go. So many different options. And they've actually done some studies with like nutrient density for frozen vegetables versus vegetables that are fresh. And there's really not a whole lot of difference between the nutrient density, which is pretty interesting. And it's because when they flash freeze these items, they're at their peak. They pick them at their peak ripeness, and then they flash freeze them. So it kind of locks in all of the nutrients. So for example, if I were to go and buy, blueberries at the grocery store in January, I'm actually better off buying frozen blueberries because those were picked in season when they have more nutrient density versus January, they probably just taste like crap and not really that good, right? So actually frozen stuff is going to be your best friend. Then you can freeze other things, like there's frozen seafoods, frozen meats that you can just have ready and just defrost, the day before if you're planning out a meal. And then another thing that I like to do, like if I'm cooking, a whole chicken and I have a lot of extra leftover broth, I will actually take my mason jars and freeze that broth and just have them ready for a soup, later, a couple weeks later. And then the last thing is, like, I'm only cooking for Ted and I know a couple of you on the call, like you're only cooking for maybe 1 or 2 people. But sometimes these recipes are like big casseroles and you don't really want to eat them for like 8 days in a row. So what you can do is actually portion them out into smaller dishes and then freeze some of them so that you only have to eat that casserole maybe 2-3 times. And then you have another casserole that's frozen, ready to go if you don't feel like cooking that day. So I know I did that with some chicken pot pies and it comes out perfect, just as if I had cooked it that day. So that's another little trick. All right, so a pantry makeover, this is a lot of information. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but this is actually a service that I offer. You don't have to be one of my one-on-one clients to receive this service. If you do work with me one-on-one, it's already included. But you can also do this just one-off if you just need some help setting up your home environment for success. We just help you get really organized and feel really confident that the things that are within your home are accessible, and they're the things that you're reaching for are actually things that are filling you up with goodness and nutrients, and not things that are going to propagate your anxiety, stress, depression, and all the bad feels. So really food can have a major impact on your mood, your energy, and all of that stuff. So making sure you're just surrounded with those good options is key. And right now, I'm actually doing a virtual pilot. So typically I would come in person into your house and we would go through this. Obviously not right now, but Charlotte is going to be doing a virtual pilot with me later this week. So we're going to see how that works out over Zoom. If all is good, then we'll definitely start offering that as a service. And thank you so much to Char for being my my test run.
You're welcome.
All right, but I can't just live off of my pantry 100% of the time. So how am I going to bring some fresh items like fresh produce and herbs into my cooking so that I'm not so bored? So here's my hot tip for you. I actually went on so I live in the Albany, New York area, which I know a lot of you on the call do as well. And I actually looked up on the Troy Farmers Market. They have on their website a list of all of the local CSAs in our area. And actually right now, since we can't go to the farmers market, a lot of them are offering free delivery. A lot of them are offering contactless pickup. So if you want to avoid the grocery store and still get some nice fresh produce, a lot of these farms are already offering, leafy greens and herbs and all kinds of good stuff. So you can do your research, find a local CSA, support a local farm. A lot of them will even have like pasture raised eggs and meats as well. So you can really get a lot of variety of things for your refrigerator. All right, cool, got it, let's go. Give me the recipes. All right, let's start with breakfast. So some of you may have seen this recipe before, but you don't have to, my point here is like, you don't have to stick exactly to these recipes. A lot of the recipes that I'm gonna go through with you today are very flexible and very versatile. And that is not meant to confuse you. It's actually purposeful because all of us have different flavor profiles and different tastes and different preferences and foods that we like and don't like, right? So when it comes to smoothie, here's just kind of an idea to get you started. But you can add different things in, like I added some chia seeds and hemp hearts for just a little bit of extra protein. I added nut butter in mine for a little bit of extra richness. I like to add in a protein powder. So whatever protein powder you have or that you like, you can add in. And then whatever frozen fruits and veggies you like. That cauliflower rice goes really well in a smoothie, and you're just hiding vegetables, you don't taste it at all. Same with frozen spinach. Same with like a squash. If you have like a summer squash, it doesn't taste like anything when you blend it up. So you can really hide a lot of fruits and veggies and get a nice, quick, easy breakfast. And one quick smoothie hack is if you're completely out of almond milk or coconut milk, you don't have to worry, because if you have almond butter or like really any kind of nut butter plus water equals nut milk. So you don't have to have almond milk to create a nice creamy smoothie. So that's my little tip for you. Oh, and I kind of jumped over this when we went over the liquids in the pantry, but in terms of dairy, so all of the non-dairy milks, like you have soy milk, almond milk, coconut milk, those all come in those like Tetra packs that you see on the shelves. So those have a really, really long shelf life, and they don't need to be refrigerated. So you can really stock up on those milks to get your dairy in as well. Like if you buy, real milk, it's going to go bad in, probably a month or two. So having those non-dairy milk options available too in your pantry is a great idea. All right, next is overnight oats. Again, really the base of this recipe is just the rolled oats, the chia seeds, and the hemp hearts. If you don't like any of those things, you can take them out, but I like the combination of those things. And then you're just getting really creative with what you add and subtract here. You can add in things like protein powder again. I have this protein powder that is a s'mores flavor, so it brings a really delicious flavor to overnight oats. You can add in ground flax for a little extra hit of healthy omega-3s. You can add in maple syrup or honey if you like it a little bit more sweet. And then again, you're just adding that non-dairy milk, and you're gonna put it in 4 separate containers or however many containers you're making, pop them in the fridge, and they're ready all week. They're literally not gonna go bad for probably, at least a full week. So you can just have those at the ready, grab and go breakfast. And I like to mix in frozen fruit, like frozen strawberries and blueberries. So whatever you have on hand or whatever you like. The day of, I'll add fresh nuts, like I'll do pumpkin seeds or walnuts. Sometimes I'll do nut butter. I have cacao nibs. I'll put in like a straight up scoop of peanut butter, or almond butter if I'm just having a day. So, you know, whatever you want in here, you can really make it your own. And you can Google overnight oats, and there's like zillions and zillions of different flavor combinations and recipes. Like there's an apple pie and a banana nut and so many different kinds. So you can really find one that suits you the best. All right, next is sweet potato toast. Again, so versatile, and literally all you need is a sweet potato. So it's so easy. And what you do is you just take the sweet potato and you cut it the long way, almost like you're cutting it into bread slices. And then you're just gonna pop those in the toaster. So if you have the stand-up toaster with the slots, you can just put the sweet potato toast right in there. You just might need a couple rounds. If you have a toaster oven, that's great, or you can just use your regular oven as well. Just make sure you're flipping it halfway. And really what you're looking for is it for it to just be nice and tender and then browned on the outside. From there, you're adding whatever you want. I like to add smashed avocado on mine with a fried egg. That is really good. If you like more sweet, you can do almond butter with blueberries and honey. If you're a true New Yorker, you could do cream cheese and lox with some capers and some black pepper. So, you know, peanut butter and banana. You can do whatever you want for all of these flavors. Super, super easy. All right, lunch. So if you were on the last call from last week, we went over some nutrient dense recipes, and this is the same one because this is my tried and true lunch, the veggie Buddha bowl. So versatile, and you can just interchange things that you have on hand. And a lot of the things in here are things that come from either canned or frozen as well. So it makes it a lot easier. You just start with your base of dark leafy greens, and you can add in your protein like beans or tofu or tempeh or chicken, you know, whatever you have. You can add in your whole grains like brown rice or quinoa, and then you're just filling in with other veggies that you like. Maybe you have some shredded carrots, maybe you have some tomatoes, maybe you have some canned artichokes, some olives, you know, maybe you're roasting up some sweet potato or roasting up some winter squash to throw in there, you know, whatever looks good for you. And then I like to add some healthy fats, some nuts, avocado, goat cheese. And then sometimes we'll even add a little shot of, again, those probiotic rich foods using the sauerkraut or kimchi. And then I pull it all together with a really delicious dressing. This is like what's going to make it just taste awesome. And here is the best dressing that I personally ever made. I love this dressing. I use it so much, and it's called spiced herb tahini dressing. And so this is really all you need is just tahini. So that's ground sesame seeds. So you can find it near the nut butters, lemon, garlic, water, extra virgin olive oil. And then from there, you can just add in other spices like your salt, pepper. If you have fresh cilantro, mint, or parsley, you can add that in, but dried is fine too. So you can really make this your own. You can add a little spice in here like I do. I add some harissa in there. So, you know, really making this your own. It's so, so good. All right, dinner. I've got a couple different options for you guys. And don't worry about like taking screenshots or anything. I'm going to give you guys all of these slides after so that you have all the recipes if you want to revisit them and kind of experiment with some this week. So dinner. All right. So this one, we've got a Tuscan white bean skillet. This one's super, super easy, and it uses basically everything from your pantry except for the kale. The kale, though, kale is a very, very hardy green, and it will stay in your fridge. It will stay good for, you know, the baby greens or like the red leaf lettuce, they tend to go bad and get wilted like within a couple days. Kale is not the case at all. So you can really keep it in your fridge for a long time. And if you see that it's starting to go bad or that you're not going to use it, you can always freeze it and throw it in a skillet like this. So a great, great option here. Oh, and I have to add, like if you guys like salty food, I love salty. So I'll even add olives into something like this. So, so, so good. All right, next is curry chicken meatballs over cauliflower rice. So this one is super easy to put together, really fast. Really the longest thing that you're waiting for here is just for the meatballs to bake, but all the other prep is really quick. So you're just throwing together the ingredients from the meatballs and baking those off. And then this ingredient actually shows you how to make a coconut curry from scratch. But again, if you have a nice curry sauce in your pantry already that you want to use, it just is going to save you a couple extra steps. So if I were to make this, I would probably just throw this curry sauce over there and call it a day. And then you've got your frozen cauliflower rice, and you would just warm that up in a skillet, portion that out into your bowls. When the meatballs come out, you'll just throw them in the sauce that you have warming on the stovetop, toss it all together, and you're done. Super easy. And again, if you don't have ground chicken, if you have ground turkey, or if you have ground beef, like really doesn't matter here. You can do whatever you have on hand. All right, this is a big one. There's a lot of steps, but I had to provide for you guys a really comforting, rich dish. And this is one of my favorites. I'm a big sucker for like pizza and mac and cheese. So I had to give you guys this one. So this is butternut squash mac and cheese. And I'm telling you what, it does not taste weird at all. It's like so thick and creamy and delicious. And it's got all these good vitamins and nutrients packed in there. So I like to use a gluten-free pasta, but you can use whatever pasta you like or whatever pasta you have at home. And then you basically take all these ingredients. You're gonna roast up your butternut squash. So whether you have that fresh butternut squash or you have the frozen butternut cubes, you're just gonna roast those up. You're gonna throw them in a blender with all the rest of the stuff, blend it up. You've got your cheesy cream sauce. And then you'll toss that with your noodles, put it in your casserole dish. And I'm not gonna lie, I cheated a little bit here. So mine's not fully vegan. I actually topped mine with some goat milk cheddar cheese to get a nice like crusty cheesy top because it's quarantine. Like we can't really skimp on some of these details here. So, do whatever you like here. Make it your own, as I always say. All right, the last thing for dinner ideas, this one, obviously you see a bunch of different pictures here. Again, this isn't meant to confuse you, but it's just showing you the versatility and how easy these Asian stir fries are to put together. So whether you have rice or noodles or leftover rice, you can kind of use what you have to create different Asian stir fries. And then you're just using a bunch of different frozen veggies like broccoli, peppers, carrots, peas, corn. Edamame is a great frozen vegetable to have stocked up. And then you just need your base, like if you have a good teriyaki sauce, a good clean teriyaki sauce without a ton of sugar, or if you have, your soy sauce and your fish sauce, you can create your own teriyaki. And you're really just either preparing the rice and noodles, and then you're kind of warming the vegetables in the skillet, adding your sauce, and you're pretty much done. These things come together in like 15 minutes. They're so easy and really, really delicious. And if you're doing fried rice, you just have to crack your egg in there and kind of scramble the egg a little bit and mix it up, and boom, you're done. So again, this isn't meant to confuse you. Literally, you cannot screw up a veggie stir fry. You cannot screw it up. It's going to taste good. All right. So next up, we have our sweet treats. This is my friend Tesley, and that's her boyfriend Albie in the background. These two are huge proponents of food as medicine and health and nutrition. And I spoke with Tesley before this, and she allowed me to use some of her recipes to share with you all. So I'm so grateful that she was open to this. I know she wanted to join, but something came up for work. I know Anatomy is like going crazy trying to get their online offering going. So she's got a lot on her plate, but she was so gracious to offer to share these with you guys. So I pulled out 3 that are my favorites. These are the paleo chocolate chunk cookies. So good. So these are gluten-free, super fast to put together, really easy. And then you can see her Instagram handle on the top of all of these photos. So if you want to follow her, she has her Foods for Thought Instagram account, and she's got tons of other recipes when it comes to baked goods. She's also got really great ideas for like breakfast skillets, and like she really runs the gamut when it comes to nutritious food. And then these are my favorite, these banana hemp protein muffins. They're like, it's like banana bread, but so good. And these I make all the time, just a quick grab and go breakfast. And I like to add a vanilla protein powder to give it just a little bit of an extra vanilla punch. And then the last one are these jumbo Nutter Butters. So again, you don't have to, stock up on those Nutter Butters that have all of those weird additives and shelf stabilizers. You can make your own and have these ready to go. So, again, not many ingredients that you really need here, and it comes together really fast, and they're super, super delicious. All right. Woo, we made it through. In conclusion, just get organized with your pantry. Do your best. Keep items that are whole foods, things that don't have an ingredient label are the best. If they do have an ingredient label, try and keep it to 5 ingredients or less. I know that's hard, but it's just a good rule of thumb to try and stand by. Seek out your local farms or CSAs for fresh produce delivery so you can limit your trips to the grocery store, and then just get cooking and be creative. And I just want to end with the fact that health coaching isn't just about the food that we put on our plate, it's about the food that we feed our soul. And I call that our primary food, and the food that we put in our mouth is actually our secondary food. And I have a couple current clients on this call, and you can ask any one of them that we focus heavily on primary food and lifestyle first. And then by doing that, everything else really comes into balance. We do a lot of education around healthy food, but we also do a lot of work on those primary foods as well. And just having somebody that you can work with that has an unbiased but educated opinion to help bring more balance in your life can be really helpful, especially during a crazy time like this.
Hey guys, I hope you really enjoyed today's presentation all about easy and delicious pantry meals. And I just wanted to wrap up this presentation by letting you know that if you want to go a little bit more in depth, or you might want some more one-on-one help organizing your pantry and just making sure you're feeding yourself and your family the right things, you can definitely schedule an appointment with me. It's called a pantry makeover. It usually takes about 90 minutes. It's just one-on-one, you and me, and we can do it virtually. And I just help you kind of get organized and kind of go through the products that you have. Some of the, products that you typically gravitate towards. And we talk about those and maybe some better substitutions for you. We also look at, things that you're doing really well and things to continue, and just give you a little bit of added support there for your home cooking environment, since we're all doing a lot more home cooking this year, right? So if that interests you, you can just send me an email. My email is gracefullyholistic@gmail.com, and I very much looking forward to working with you on that. Otherwise, if you really just enjoyed this presentation today and you just want to kind of learn more about what I do and maybe some of the other services that I offer in the holistic nutrition counseling realm, you can just head to my website. It is gracefullyholistic.com. And you can also follow me on my social handles. So I'm on Facebook and I'm also on Instagram at Gracefully Holistic. So looking forward to connecting with you soon and hope you have a great day. Bye.